Is there a specific area for you that you feel like you need more work on than others? Obviously all areas, but is there one?
Well, there's all of them, because my company's nowhere near where I want it. I picked up a pen way back in 1973. I was living in Glenview, Illinois. I had just left the Nightingale Conant Corporation. I worked with Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant for 5 years. And I sat down and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. I had absolutely no idea how I was going to do that. But I knew if I could think it, I could do it. Because that's what all the great leaders have agreed on. They've disagreed in virtually everything else. We operate today, the Proctor Gallagher Institute operates in 88 different countries.
Wow.
We have consultants that teach our material, that represent us in 88 different countries. When we stream a program, we go into around 115 countries. Now, if you'd asked me, how are you going to do that when I started? No idea. But I did know this. If you set a goal and you know how to do it, the goal probably isn't any good.
Ooh.
It probably isn't any good.
Wow.
Because if you know how to do it, you're going to go sideways. It's a repeat performance.
Wow.
You got to go after something you have absolutely no idea how you're going to do it. Now, I've had the good fortune of working with Edmund Hillary. He was a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He was the first man to climb Mount Everest. He went there in 51 and he failed. He went back in 52 and he failed. But in 1953, he and Tenzing Norgay stood on top of the mountain. But he couldn't tell you till after he got there how he was going to do it. And nobody could tell him because nobody had ever done it.
Wow.
So the trick, pick a goal that you really want, but you have no idea how to do it. Now, there's got to be a big learning curve there, and I'm still learning.
Wow, that's inspiring. I love that. And hopefully you can find mentors who have done it, that can guide you, and you pick the right ones.
Right here, this author. These books behind me here. I've got, let's see here.
He's going on the hunt. I like it.
No. Here's one here. This is an original my son gave me as a gift. The Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. It is a heavy one. Here's another one. The Dory Lectures on Mental Science. These are written by a Thomas Troward. They were written back around 1910, 1912.
Wow.
They are incredible. And they are my mentors today.
Wow.
He is my mentor.
If you could only recommend 5 books that no other books would ever exist except these 5 books for people to read for the rest of eternity, and there would be no other books, hypothetical question, what 5 books would you recommend for people?
Think and Grow Rich. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. I'd recommend my own book, You Were Born Rich. Everybody's born rich. Most people are a little short of money, that's all.
Ooh.
Well, they should get into this, the Edinburgh Lectures on Mental Science. And then I'm going to give you one that's a long ways away from that, U Square by Price Pritchett.
Huh, okay.
It's a little tiny book. Price Pritchett's is a consultant over in Dallas. He's written a little book, U Square. It's on quantum physics, quantum leaps. It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Wow.
These books are incredible. And it's funny, Troward taught me, he said, if you come to a point where you can't learn anything from somebody, you go inside. He said, go to the Fonsetorigo, go to the fountain and source, go inside. Now, I mean this in all humility. I've been studying this longer than anybody I know.
Yeah.
There's probably people studying longer than me, but I've been studying it for 59 years, and I study it every day. I don't know anybody that teaches what we teach like we teach it. I've had absolutely incredible teachers. So I don't go run around looking for teachers. I've got Troward. What he's written is so rich in truth. He's probably one of the greatest authors of the last 500 years.
Wow.
But the trick, though, Lewis, is you got to keep studying.
Mm-hmm.
And you only will keep studying if you're going after something you have no idea how to get there. But you know you can get there. The way there will be shown as you go after it. Step by step, it will come to you.
Why isn't it shown to us before we start going after it? Why does it take us?
You wouldn't understand it.
Oh.
You wouldn't understand it. See, the purpose of a goal is not to get. It's not to reach the goal. It's the awareness that you develop as you go after it. You're learning who you are. It's becoming aware of who you are.
Yeah.
I was in a seminar years and years ago, and there was a speaker, Bill Gove. Bill Gove was considered the Frank Sinatra of public speakers. He was incredible. He had a handheld mic, and he's looking at the audience, and he said, if I want to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me I think you think I should be. Not the me I think my kids think I should be. Not the me I think my wife thinks I should be. If I want to be free, I've got to be me. He said, I better know who me is.
Wow.
Now, I had a lot of this information at that time. This was years ago. But I was shy. And I wanted to teach it. I was afraid to stand up and ask a question in front of an audience. And so I made up my mind, I was not only going to learn to speak like him, I was going to get him to teach me. Now, he became a mentor of mine. And I realized then, if I take the areas where I'm a little 6 bits short, I'm just not really very good. And I didn't go to school, so there's a lot of areas. I'm going to get the very best, and I'm going to do exactly what they tell me. And that's what I did when the man who gave me this book, he said, do exactly what I'm telling you. I did exactly what he said. 15 years or so ago, well, first of all, he became my mentor and very good friend right up until he passed away. Our company was having financial problems all the time. And I could earn all kinds of money, but I don't know how to manage it. Didn't know how to run a company. I mean, I wasn't designed for that. And I didn't want to learn it. I didn't even like the subject. But what you need, you will attract. And we had a lady come to seminar, was a securities attorney. She fell in love with what we were doing. She was a full partner in a company. And over a period of time, she became our business partner. She owns half the company. But she runs the company. She's the president, chief executive of the company. I mentioned to her last time, you should get her on for an interview sometime because she is a fascinating person. But she does a phenomenal job here.
Yeah.
Well, so I have found in the areas that I'm not really good at, I get the very best. And I work with them. I don't try and learn what they're teaching. I get them to do that. I get somebody else to do something else because it's going to take me to where I want to go. I have a young guy here that runs our studio. He's the director of the studio. He's absolutely brilliant. He set a goal when he was 13 to work with me.
I remember this.
He was living in Manchester in England, and he watched The Secret, and he saw me. He said, I'm going to work with him. 13 years later, he's here in the studio, and he runs this place.
I love that.
He's incredible. He can record and send it from anywhere in the world. He can come in here and do everything. And I found that's one of the secrets of getting to where you want to go. You need help. You got to have help. You got to have a lot of help.
You're saying we can't just do it all on our own, Bob?
Never going to do it on your own. You won't go very far if you're doing it alone.
I'm curious. I feel like you've got, again, decades of wisdom and knowledge from history that you lived through and experienced personally firsthand. You said you grew up during the Second World War. What was the lesson you learned in the Second World War at that time that people should know about today during this time? Two different crises.
Well, it's only in retrospect that I learned these things because we go back and I have to go back. and everything was rationed. So people were getting accustomed to live on lack and limitation. And it was part of the programming. And in looking back, the great lesson is don't let what's going on program you. In fact, it's a good point to bring out right now because of this pandemic that's going on. We must not let this program us. This does not have to define us, doesn't have to dictate where we're going to go. It's got nothing to do with our destiny. As a kid, everything was rationed. I remember chewing gum was rationed. In fact, there's a good story. I'm going to take the time to tell you about it. We would go to the store. Our father was in Europe fighting, and we would send care packages every now and then. They would mail them, and they would get through, and we'd have pictures, of the family and all this stuff. And we'd put a package of gum in sometimes. We would be at the store, and if they put a package of gum out, it would just be one little box. It would be gone like that.
Wow.
Because you couldn't buy gum during the war. Wrigley's did not make gum during the war. They couldn't. And one of us would hold the gum while the other one home, see if there was enough money to buy it.
Yeah.
Because there might not have been enough money, we'd have to put it back. During the Second World War, Wrigley's could not make gum. The basic ingredient, apparently, for making gum comes from the Philippine Islands. The Japanese, who were in charge of the Philippine Islands, they had occupied the Philippine Islands, you couldn't get in to get the gum. Wrigley seemed to know that the war would be over, they'd be able to get the stuff, we'd win the war, and he'd get the stuff to build the gum. He never stopped advertising, buy Wrigley Spearmint Gum, all during the Second World War, even though they couldn't make it. A great lesson in there about advertising. People wouldn't believe that lived through the Second World War, wouldn't believe that they couldn't make gum then. Because he just kept enough and he'd leak a little bit out every now and then to different places.
Wow.
Great lesson in advertising there.
Wow. It's kind of like...
But I think the